everyone, and welcome to a new episode of my videos where I'm showing off my new Avalon Harmonics modules. Today I will be showing off my new KickAid, which is basically a module that allows you to add rumble to kicks. It encompasses multiple different functionalities into one relatively small package, and its main purpose is basically to add kick rumble, for instance, like for techno or such. As you could hear in the intro, it worked quite well. So let's have a look at what it actually does. You can see it right here, but I will unpatch it so that I can actually show off what it does. So let me disconnect everything from it. There we go. Okay, so what it actually does is it takes a kick input, it detects the kick peaks, and then it basically allows you to sidechain reverb against it. So first of all, you can see here we have the mixing section. You can adjust the gain of the kick, you can adjust the equalization of the kick, and you can adjust the mix between the kick and the reverb effect. And we also have equalization for the reverb. I want to add, obviously, that it doesn't have any built-in reverb. You need to have your own reverb module to be able to achieve a reverb sound. But that doesn't matter, because as soon as you have a module that can do this, you can quite easily actually achieve this effect. So first of all, let's talk about the main input. The main input is located right here. And the cool thing about it is that it can actually allow up to 17 times increase in gain in volume. I did this specifically because, for instance, I'm using a Korg Volca sample to get the kicks in. So right here on this jack I actually have the kicks, so let's plug them in. And I will actually hit play. You obviously won't hear anything yet. I need to plug in the output from here. I will also be using the ST Modular EFI module for high passing the kicks if I want to. So let's plug it through that. As you can hear, we now have the kick sound. I will actually change the pattern a little bit so we have something more like a 4 on the floor. So give me a moment here. There we go. Something a bit more standard so we can hear what's going on. Right now we just have a raw kick sound, but as you can see with the gain knob, we can adjust the amplification of the kicks, because right here I am using line level input, which is very convenient. I can equalize the kick. This is how it sounds by default. I can also go into highs, or I can go into lows. Let's keep it a little bit like this. Once we're happy with the kick sound, we have two jacks here. One is send and one is return. This is specifically used for the reverb. In this case, I'm using Music Thing Modular Spring Reverb, but I'm using only the reverb brick inside. So let's plug that in. I will be sending the kick to it and returning it back. As you can hear, we instantly have rumble added to the kick. The rumble can be processed with the equalizer. Sounds like this by default. A little bit rough. We can also hear the highs. But the idea is to just keep the lows using the equalizer. You can also fade between it. That. Only the kicks. Only the reverb. As you can hear, the module is doing some ducking or sidechaining on the actual sound of the reverb. And all of this is actually done using the envelope system located right here. So I will now be plugging in an oscilloscope so we can actually see what is going on right here. This envelope output, by the way, gives the same envelope used by the envelope system in the module, so you can actually use it for something else. We will just be connecting it to our scope now. And you should see the scope in the top right. As you can see, the yellow line is basically the envelope and how it's controlling the reverb, and obviously the blue signal is the kicks. As you can see, it's side chained against the kicks. But let's now dive in a little bit how this whole system works for ducking. It has multiple stages. It basically detects a kick, and then based on the kick, it actually generates an envelope. So I will play it again. First of all, the K input. The K input represents the rectified kick signal, basically. And yeah, if we unplug the kick, you'll see that there is nothing there, basically. Let's plug it back in. The F LED represents the envelope follower, or rather, well, F for follower, basically. Or you can also consider it F for fall, because using this knob, we can control how quickly it falls from the signal. A bit like that. You get the idea. I usually keep it around the middle, gives the best results, basically. And then we have the threshold. The threshold is very important because we are basically deciding when the envelope will detect that there is a kick. So using the threshold, if we set it too high, you can see that it's not detecting any kicks. We set it too low, it might also not detect it, so we just need to set it somewhere around the middle so it gets a nice signal of the kick, basically. Now, in order to actually generate the length of the envelope, we can choose how we want to generate the length of the envelope using this switch here with source. If we switch to threshold mode, you will see that as I adjust it, it gets very long. And especially hear it and hear it on the scope, basically. The gate is much longer closed, basically. Or if I go in the other direction, you can see that I can make it very short. This is a threshold-based length. However, we can also switch it here. Now the length of the gates is independent of the threshold, and we can adjust it using this knob here. We can make it very short like this. It doesn't even have time to fully close. Or we can make it very long. As you can see, it's so long already that it's just continuously closed. It's good to find the middle ground. Now, the trigger that is actually generated from the threshold system is available here. You can trigger some external modules with it, whatever you want. And the gate that I was just explaining is available here. You can also use it to trigger an ADSR, some other envelope or such. Once we're happy with the length of the gate, we can adjust the attack and decay. So, let's have a look how this looks. As you can see on the scope, the attack has quite a wide range. We can go like this, or we can make it super short like this. I keep it usually something like this. And the decay is the speed, how quickly the gate will reopen. You can see it can be virtually instant, or it can be very slow. So slow that it doesn't even have time to recover fully. It's up to you how you want to adjust these parameters. I usually keep it like this so it's nice and flowy with the sound. And the last parameter we can adjust of the envelope is the duck. That is how strong the ducking effect actually is. As you can see, it just basically lowers the strength. It can be completely off, but that's probably not something that you want. Or fully engaged like this. And that's basically most of the functionality of the module. It basically allows you to take a kick, apply reverb to it, equalize both the kick and the reverb, mix them together, and then also apply ducking effect or sidechain to the actual reverb sound, and you get very, very nice techno-ish rumble. Now, there are other ways also how we can control the envelope in this module, and this is this external signal. So what we can actually do is input a LFO into this, or any other signal, basically, and that will completely override the whole envelope follower system. So for instance, if I was now do something like this, I've now inputted some LFO that I have here. As you can hear, it's now completely out of sync, which actually makes sense. But basically you get the idea. You can use an external signal to trigger the envelope if you so desire. But let's not do that. The final generated envelope is available on the envelope check here. And this is exactly what I'm using currently to show you what is happening on the oscilloscope. Okay, so that is basically how you can get very nice kick reverb in. Of course, except for instance, kicks, I could also plug in some other sound. So if I wanted to, here I will unplug the reverb, so we just get normal kicks. But the envelope is still being generated, and we could feed some other signal in. So for instance, let's say I have a Laniakia, Marguerite's Laniakia module here. Let's plug this in, like that. Nice little drone sound. And now if we apply kick, so using this you can also sidechain some other sounds if you want, and also play with ducking. That. When the kick stop, it also goes fully open. Get even stronger. Get the idea. So you can use this also to sidechain some other sounds other than kicks. Other than this, we can also use an external sound, for instance, VCA or something like that. We could plug in like, for instance, the envelope here. So what I will do is I will now unplug the oscilloscope. I can actually keep it plugged in if I use a splitter, capacitive multiple. Let's do exactly that. I'll take the envelope signal. I will plug in a ADSR I have in my rack. and then I will get the same Aniekia sound into a VCA in my rack. This output. My bad, I won't be using an ADSR for this, I'll just directly plug it in. Like that. A bit too loud. Exactly the same effect, but this time I'm not using the KickAid. Instead, I have freed it up and I can actually use it for the rumble again. Let's plug it back in. However, you will hear that maybe the sound isn't perfect. There we go. That's a bit better. So we can kind of mix and match stuff like that. If we are not happy with the envelope that's provided by KickAid, we can always use an external envelope to trigger some other sounds. So for instance, in this case, what we can literally do is each time that there is a kick, we can trigger a sound. So what I will do now is I will actually just restore this how it was so we can see on our scope. I will connect an ADSR that I have here. And I will make it so that the ADSR actually uses the trigger sound. And I will... Yeah, as you can hear, now we have a kick triggering the ADSR and we get notes synced to the kicks. Pretty interesting. Let's change around the beat a little bit again to make it interesting. Something like that. Play around with the sound a bit. Get the idea. It can be pretty convenient to do stuff like this. Maybe you want to trigger some sort of a effect or something on the kick. It's completely up to you, basically, what you want to do. So next thing I would like to show with all of this, considering that we have shown almost everything that we can do, is using a sound that is not a kick. So what I will do now is I will actually pause the video, repatch some stuff around, and then try and use a sound that is not a kick, for instance, a synth line. So I will be right back. Okay, welcome back, and I have done some changes now. Instead of using a kick, I am actually plugging in a synth line. So let's hear how the synth line just sounds by itself. Pretty simple, just using chainsaw, acid rain's chainsaw module to generate some nice saw. So it's basically coming into the kick input. I obviously had to set the gain lower because we're using a module for this. I've adjusted the threshold a little bit stuff like that, played around with the settings. I'm using exactly the same reverb, and I've actually undone the equalization because I want the full sound to go through. So let's hear how this sounds like. Let's give it a bit of a mix. There you go, you can hear that. While I'm playing the sounds, there is absolutely no reverb. And as soon as I release it, it just fades in nicely. Try doing some arpeggios, maybe? And also play around so there's more of the reverb. Give it a bit more gain, maybe. I need to adjust the threshold a little bit. Play around with the decay. Very quick. Let's play around with this. Play around with EQ, maybe. Very cool sounds. And for the last thing, I will repatch this thing again a little bit, and I will play around a little bit with my synthesizers. I have my Korg Volca sample here, loaded with 909 drums. I have a TD3 modded out for some nice 303 synth bass lines, and let's play around. I will be right back. Okay, we are back. I returned the kicks, and let's adjust stuff. Okay, let's go. actually also side chaining the 303, as you can hear. If I disable the kicks, it just pauses. Very nice. And there you have it, that is KickAid, my newest module which allows you to add rumble to kicks and some other things. I hope you enjoyed this video. You should be able to buy this module once you see this video on my YouTube. I apologize if it goes out of stock quickly as some of my newest modules that also came out. But yeah, that will be everything for now, and I will see you around until next time. Bye bye!